Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into something I think a lot of us can relate to.
Hmm.
It's all about our tech habits, and we're going to be using a really interesting mini personality test from the Spiritual Seek as a jumping off point.
Oh, yeah. I love their stuff. Always makes you think, right?
Totally. So basically, we're going to unpack each statement in this test and see what it reveals, maybe some hidden truths about our relationship with technology. How much it really impacts our lives, even in ways we might not realize.
I think sometimes we can be so immersed in it that we don't even see how much it's shaping our day-to-day experience.
Exactly. This is all about becoming more mindful, right? Like just the other day, I caught myself scrolling for like an hour before bed.
Oh, tell me about it. Happens to the best of us.
Right. And it just got me thinking, like, am I maybe a little too connected? So, yeah, this deep dive is pretty timely, even for me. All right, let's jump into the first statement from the Spiritual Seek. I couldn't live without a car.
Interesting way to start. The car, I mean.
Yeah. Why do you think they chose to lead with that one?
Well, I think it highlights right away how deeply ingrained technology is in our lives. Like,
Uh,
for a lot of us, a car isn't just a luxury or a convenience. It's practically essential for, work, getting groceries, all that stuff.
It's true. Think about it. In a lot of places, it's almost impossible to get around without a car.
Yeah, the whole infrastructure is designed around it.
Exactly. So it begs the question, right? How much does relying on a car really affect our lives? Like
Yeah.
where we choose to live, where we work, even how much we exercise.
It's a really good point. I mean, not about judging anyone for having a car, obviously, but just recognizing the impact, how dependent we are on this one piece of technology.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to statement number 2. I check my smartphone every hour at least. Oof.
Yeah.
I think this one probably hits home for a lot of us, right? Like guilty is charged over here.
Yeah.
But seriously, why do we do it? What is it about those little notifications that's so irresistible?
It's crazy, right? I think a lot of it has to do with that little dopamine hit we get every time our phone buzzes or lights up. It's like a little reward, and our brains get hooked on that feeling. There's actually a ton of research out there about how those notifications are designed to keep us engaged, even if it's not always in our best interest.
Totally. I actually read a study recently that said people who are constantly checking their phones have something like a 20% shorter attention span, and they're like twice as likely to report feeling anxious.
That doesn't surprise me at all. It's
Yeah.
like a constant state of distraction and FOMO,
Yeah.
never really being present in the moment.
And it definitely makes the next statement on the list even more unsettling.
Oh, yeah. This one's a doozy.
I wake up at night to read the notifications.
Ooh, I don't even like thinking about that one.
Seriously. Is nothing sacred anymore? Like, sleep should be a tech-free zone, shouldn't it?
For sure. And it's not just about, like, the mental stimulation either. The blue light from our screens actually messes with our sleep cycles. It suppresses melatonin production, which is what helps us fall asleep and stay asleep.
Oh, wow. It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
I always sleep so terribly after scrolling in bed.
It's pretty much guaranteed to ruin your sleep.
Yeah, bet.
But hey, let's move on to something a little less doom and gloom, shall we? Statement 4. I am lucky to live in such a scientifically advanced age.
All right, finally a positive one.
This one's kind of interesting, right? It definitely captures that excitement a lot of people feel about all the amazing technological advancements we've made. And I get it, there's a lot to be grateful for, but
But what?
I think it's also important to be mindful of the downsides. Technology isn't always a force for good. It's like a really powerful tool. It depends on how we use it, what choices we make.
It's like anything, right? There are always trade-offs. And speaking of which, let's look at statement 5. Technology makes life much easier and more convenient.
True. I mean, who can argue with that? Think about how much simpler technology has made things, from online shopping to GPS navigation to, I don't know, instant communication with anyone in the world.
Oh, totally. But I think it's easy to become like over-reliant, right? Like what happens when we lose that technology or it doesn't work?
Right. And that's the key point. Are we losing some essential skills like problem solving or just being resourceful because we're so used to relying on technology for everything? Like imagine if the GPS goes out and we don't even know how to read a map anymore.
That's a really good point. It's like we're trading some of our independence and resilience for convenience.
Exactly. And that might not always be the best trade-off. All right, last one. I can't imagine how people used to live without all the comforts of today.
I get it. I mean, I complain about technology all the time, but honestly, can you imagine life without it?
It's tough, right? But that's exactly the point. Maybe we've gotten so used to the constant stimulation, the instant gratification that we've lost sight of some other, more essential things,
Like what the?
like spending time in nature, having genuine face-to-face connections, being comfortable with quiet and stillness, things that people who lived without all this technology kind of had to cultivate.
That's really interesting. It's like maybe there are some valuable things we're missing out on by being so plugged in all the time. So
Yeah.
after looking at all these statements, what do you think is the biggest takeaway for our listeners?
Awareness, I think that's the key. Just becoming aware of how deeply technology influences our lives, our thoughts, our behaviors, even our emotions.
And then what? Once we're aware, what do we do with that?
Then we can start making conscious choices, right? It's
Yeah.
not about demonizing technology. It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot where technology enhances our lives without completely taking over.
Love that. Any advice on how our listeners can start making some small changes? Like one simple thing they can do today?
How about this? Pick one app that you tend to overuse. And then set a daily limit for yourself. And during that time that you would normally be on that app, do something completely non-digital. Read a book, take a walk, have a real conversation with someone, just disconnect for a bit and see how it feels.
That's such a great idea. I might
Yeah.
have to try that myself. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive. It's been really insightful.
Anytime, it was fun.
And for all of you listening out there, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you? What are your biggest tech challenges? Let's keep this conversation going and navigate this digital world together, mindfully, of course.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it for today, folks. Until next time.
See ya!